Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Instead of this, you just need to specify context. That's it. You will contain the same method and you are going to work in the same way. But here you can see that the factory was loaded by XML bean definition. Now it will be loaded by your application context. Let us go and execute this. You can see that it was loaded by class path XML application context, and it has read the resource, and it has called the parameterized constructor, same as that of our previous output. The difference between bean factory and application context factory. Let us comment our application one more time. Come back to our bean factory. So here I have created one hello bean. I got an instance of hello object. Let us say I want one more instance. If I need one more instance, what I will do? I will again create one more instance, hello object 2, and I am going to print that particular hello object 2. So I have created the first object and I have created the second object now. Let us go and execute now. Object created com dot hello world 10f6d3. Second object created com dot hello world 10f6d3. What happened? It has returned the same instance for the second object creation as well. By default, Spring will follow Singleton approach for all beans. Singleton pattern, nothing but at any point of time, only one object will be available in the memory. See, we have followed Singleton approach for session factory. This is also one more design pattern. For session factory, we have followed Singleton approach so that I can get the same session factory when I am accessing from my DAO class or when I am referring from my context listener. In the same way, your Spring also follows Singleton approach during the object creation. Let us take a look at, see, I'm going to comment this one, and I'm not going to comment the whole code. and I'm having only the first element, sorry, the first line, which will be loading the class files. Now execute the code. You can see that it has only loaded the XML bean definitions. Let us take the same approach for our application context. I'm commenting bean factory and I have only application context. Application context factory, it will read the Spring XML file and it will create the instance of the beans at the same time. That means it will create all the instances, all the bean instances during the Spring XML loading itself. During the time of loading off, during the XML loading, it will create all the instances and it will make it available whenever you have asked. It won't create a separate object and it will directly return the object which was already available. But in case of bean factory, it won't create any kind of beans. It will just load the XML into the memory. It will use lazy initialization. It won't create the object. Both will return singleton objects only, but this guy, bean factory, it won't create the object immediately, but this guy, it will create immediately once after loading the XML file. Not only for our hello world, it will create for all the beans that are available within your spring.xml file. It's based on requirement, Vijay. Now, see, currently when we are referring to application context, we are getting when we are referring both objects, when you are referring to objects at the application context level, let us create one more object. Hello object 2. Second object created. Let us execute this one. Here also you can see that first object with 1BC82E7. Second object also with 1BC82E7. So that means you are referring same object for both the instances. So if it is a multi-threaded programming, the bean will be shared between the two different threads. If you don't want, you can simply go to your Spring XML file. There is an attribute called scope. The values for scope are prototype, singleton, request, and session. Singleton is the default option. Prototype, which means I want to create a separate instance with each and every bean call. The next one is request and session. You guys already aware of request scope and session scope. These are related to the MVC web application only. So request and session, they are supposed to be used only with MVC modules, but not with normal modules. When you say prototype, see, currently you can see that here 1BC82E7, 1BC82E7. When you say prototype, and if you execute the test program, you can see that it has referred 1BC82E7 and it has created a separate object this time, 73A3-4B. It hasn't used the same object. If you refer some other object also, it will create a new instance and it will directly provide that to you. If you are working on a multi-threaded programming, then we are not interested to go ahead with this approach, and we want a separate object to be created each and every time. Let us say we need some kind of initialization to be happened with each and every bean creation. You can directly specify within your constructor properties or getter methods, properties or constructor references. But if in case, if you want some kind of initialization method or destruction method just before you are being destroyed, you have the capability of specifying to the Spring framework, and Spring framework will invoke that particular method once after bean instance has created. You can see that there is a property attribute called init method. Let us say initialize. So let us go and write a method initialize. See here, this is a method, initialization method. So let us write one initialization method, public void initialize. I'm not going to write any kind of code in this. So when you are asking for a bean, now when you are asking for a bean, Spring will see that you have the initialization method available with your bean. Then it will create a bean instance and it will set all the properties, and once after that it will call the initialization method before returning the object back to the test class. Hello world, parameterized constructor called, initialize method called, object, everything gone. Here you can see that hello world parameter constructor called for the second one, because we have mentioned that the scope is prototype. That means it will create a separate object, and once after that initialize method again called, because this is a separate instance, and init method will call for each and every instance. In the same way, you can have a destroy method as well, and that will be called just before your object or your bean will get destructed or deleted. No, you shouldn't have. Currently, from employee class, from hello world to our employee class, we are creating a reference. In hello world, we have created a reference to our employee class. And once after that, we are asking our Spring framework to populate the data or to populate the reference variable. To populate the reference variable or components, currently we are referring to some other module, our employee. We are referring from our hello world, and we are informing to the Spring framework to use dependency injection concept and provide the details. The association creation, currently we are trying to create association between the components, our hello world module and employee module. This kind of association is called as wiring in terms of Spring terminology. The wiring can be any type. Currently we have seen property injection, we have seen reference injection, and we have already seen about constructor injection as well. But if you have a lot of properties or lot of configuration references, then it will be like a hectic process to configure each and every property. Instead of that, you can use Spring automatic bean wiring. Automatic bean wiring, nothing but here you are binding, see currently you are binding property name employee to this reference bean employee bean. You are explicitly informing to the container to bind employee to reference bean employee bean. Instead of you doing all this stuff, you can use Spring automatic bean wiring concept, and Spring will perform this kind of wiring. Currently you are mapping between employee component and hello world component, or employee bean to your hello world bean. Instead of you doing all this kind of stuff, you can inform to the Spring framework. I'm removing this. I'll inform to the Spring framework that I want to use automatic bean wiring. The automatic bean wiring, it was also specified by attribute configuration. I forgot the name. AutoWire. The property name is AutoWire. The attribute name, I'm sorry. The values for this AutoWire: by name, by type, constructor, or default. By name. By name means, see currently we are referring employee bean. Our name is EMP bean. Within our hello world, if you go to hello world, I am referring EMP. Let us change this to, or change our Spring.xml here itself EMP. Yeah. So currently you can see that I have a bean declared with ID EMP, and I am referring to the same name within my hello world. If I inform to the Spring framework AutoWire, I don't want to write all this property configuration on my own, and I just want Spring to take care about those stuff. Currently, I want to wire based on name. Based on name means what it will do is it will verify all the properties in hello world. Currently, the properties are message and employee. Here it will see that EMP is a reference variable. That means it needs a bean association automatically. Then Spring understands that you are asking framework itself to identify the corresponding bean. Currently you can see that AutoWire by name. Then it will verify that what is the name of the property. It won't look for only employee, it will look for all the properties that are available. Currently we have only EMP. Then it will verify, is there any bean available with name EMP. Currently you can see that EMP was available. Then it will make use of this particular bean creation, and it will inject the bean directly to your employee EMP ID. This EMP ID equal to EMP to your employee reference. Let us go and execute our code one more time. You can see that still you are able to get the details properly. Currently, I haven't mentioned anything related to, come back to our Spring.xml. I haven't mentioned anything related to EMP, and you can see that when I called the get details method, it was able to set the details. It was able to get the details or print the details. Employee ID 100 has salary 1000. This is called bean auto wiring. The second type is by type. By type means it will verify in hello world, it will verify what are all the data types that are available. Currently I have employee data type and I have string data type. Anyway, string is just like the normal one. We are not going to inject this one based on auto wiring. I have employee. Now I can have some other name for my bean, but I am asking to wire based on the type. Currently I have an employee type available. That employee bean was already available at this level. Then Spring will use auto wire based on type, and it will inject the employee object to your hello world. You can see that still you are able to get the details. The third one is based on constructor. Let us remove based on constructor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does it exclude all these primitive data types and other stuff?
See, normally primitive data types, it won't look for any kind of bean objects. Primitives means you are going to assign the data directly. It doesn't require any kind of object creation. It won't look for any kind of beans for primitives.
So it looks only for classes?
See, normally, do we need any kind of association for our primitive data types?
No, except for default values. Okay.
Exactly. So that's the reason Spring also, it won't verify for primitives. Add one more constructor which accepts our employee object. See, this time I don't want to call the set employee method to set the property, and I don't want to use the constructor reference also. I don't want to use the constructor reference also to inject the property. Let us remove this one as well. But I want to inform to the Spring framework that I am using auto wiring, and this time the auto wiring is based on the constructor. Then Spring will verify that do we have any constructor which is expecting any kind of reference variables. Currently I have one constructor which is expecting employee reference to be available automatically to my hello world. Then Spring will invoke this particular constructor based on auto wiring constructor hello world auto wiring constructor called by Spring framework. Let us go and execute this one. You can see that instead of calling the normal method or the parameterized method, anyway I don't have any constructor arguments, it will call hello world auto wiring constructor called by Spring framework. So Spring knows that I'm expecting a parameter employee bean, and it will associate based on the auto wire constructor, and it will call the constructor which accepts the bean reference, and it will inject the property based on our employee bean. Let us say we are following by type. We are following by type and we have two beans available in the memory, employee bean 1 and employee bean. And now you are asking the Spring to auto inject based on type. By type you have specified. When Spring verifies what are all the beans that are available for employee, here it sees that there are two beans available, EMP bean and EMP bean 1. Let us execute this one, what it will happen. Error creating bean with name hello bean defined in spring.xml file. No unique bean of type employee is defined. Expected single matching bean but found two, EMP bean and EMP bean 1. So whenever you are doing auto wiring, there are some downsides as well. You should take care about those stuff. If you have two beans available within your spring.xml file, then it's not possible for Spring to identify which bean to inject, either to inject EMP bean or EMP bean 1. So if you have such type of clashes, then don't go for this particular option and go and configure normally property refer to which bean you want to expect. They have provided one more approach also. There is one another attribute, primary attribute. You can specify primary attribute and that will be selected if there are two matching beans available, then whichever is primary, that will be selected by your Spring. Let us change this value to 200. But unfortunately, the primary value is defaulted to true value. You should explicitly specify that primary as false to the other bean. If you execute, it will work properly. Let us see. You can see that employee ID 2000 has salary 200. So it has taken the primary one only. But by default, primary will be set to true. And if you don't want, then you should specify that as primary false. Normally, when you have the clashes, you are not supposed to use the auto-wire concept and you should specify at this level. But if you are sure that whatever the object that you are referring, then you can have one more option. You can specify that as primary true value.
We can remove that, right?
Which one? Yeah, we can remove primary true. This is the default one.
Yeah. So basically, it is referring to EMP bean 1, right?
Yeah, correct. That's why I got the values 2000 and 200.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have two constructors, right? Like EMP and message, the hello world constructor. Yeah, in hello world program.
Okay.
So when we are using auto wire,
we
don't need to, mention again the message, the property name equal to message and all, right? It will call both of them or only it will call only?
No, it will call only one of them. It won't call both.
Oh, okay. But both are different constructors, right? It won't.
Yeah, both are. See, normally the constructor creation, it will be called during the object creation. The constructor invoking.
Okay.
It will call during the object creation. So at object creation, either it can call hello world with string, or it can call hello world with employee.
Okay.
This is just like how you are writing the code. Hello world, hello bean equal to new hello world. This is how the the container will write the code, and if you are expecting employee, then it will create the employee object and it will call like this. If you want the message, then it will create the message object, it will prepare the message and it will call like this. You can't call both at a single time. If you want, you can just write one more constructor which will accept employee and string message, just like this.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Krish, I have a trivial question. So does it mean that we can't assign the string value there?
Where?
In the first, the hello world string, that will not be called at all?
No, if you want to invoke this particular constructor, this won't invoke hello world of string message, right?
Yeah.
Yep. If you want, the message also needs to be populated by the constructor itself, then go and specify parameterized constructor with the 2 parameters.
Oh.
See, at a single point of time, it can't call both the constructors.
Yeah, that was the question, yeah.
Yeah. Or else you have anyway different option. You can set the property. The property will call setter method.
That's what is happening now.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, if I have one more constructor called a string, one more default constructor, that will also not be called, right? Because they are default.
See, the auto void property, when you specify constructor, it will only look for the beans that you are expecting.
Okay.
Not the normal primitive variables or string values.
And if I have one more department called, one more class called department, that will call in the loop, right?
Yeah, obviously. You should match at this level. Within your employee class, you should match the address properly. Only thing is, based on the configuration that you have specified within your XML file.
Krish?
Yeah.
Krish?
Yes.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website h2kinfosys.com. On our website h2kinfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.